So why don't we go ahead and double click on the top of the inspector there, minimize that, and move over from the effects side panel to the transitions side panel, or the transitions browser. We go ahead and give ourselves a little more room here. And this is where you're going to find all of your transitions in Final Cut. Some of these are native, they come with Final Cut. Some are other ones that I've downloaded over the years and added to my collection. Now if we just go up over here into the dissolves, you'll see you have your basic cross dissolve, your fade to color. Let's go over here and collapse these audio components and lower this volume as well. You can see here all the red spiking. That means that that is clipping. So let's lower that volume down to where it looks like the other audio wave files next to it. So we go over here, we'll see you can right click and make default this cross dissolve, that divide dissolve. And I'm making it the default, moved it to the front over here. I'm not quite sure why they decided to do that, but that is the way it happens. So now that that's our default, we can select a single transition point here, hit Command T, and that'll add that transition between these two clips. Piece of cake. Now the default length of this transition right over here is set by preferences up on the top. You can go to editing and you'll see that transition duration is set to 3 seconds. If we pop this open to 6 seconds and we go over here to this next edit point, hit Command T, you'll see this transition is twice as long. Go ahead and Command Z out of that, and let's go back to our preferences and change that back to 3 seconds for sure. Now you can also option drag this over to another edit point in order to copy paste, basically duplicate that transition onto another edit point. That's really nice. You could do that in the old Final Cut 7, so I appreciate that coming over. Go ahead and Command Z out of that as well. And you can also add transitions to audio if the audio is detached from the video, which is something that I generally like to tell people to never do. Now, as soon as you do create that transition, you're going to be in a secondary storyline, as we went over before in secondary storylines. You need to have one in order to have a transition in between. So what I like to do rather than that, Command Z out of that, is instead just extend the audio a little bit to the left, this one a little bit to the right, and then use the handles that are on the audio themselves to create the crossfade of audio between them. This to me is kind of a much neater way than doing it, than having all of these secondary storylines populating your entire timeline.